Welcome to the Recovery Roundtable podcast, where the journey to sobriety opens up through powerful discussions and shared experiences. Join your host, Mark, who will bring you stories of triumph and resilience from the heart of Pacific Shores recovery. Every episode offers insights and support, guiding you through the challenges of addiction recovery. Thank you for joining our community. If you're ready to start or continue your recovery journey, we're here to inspire and support you. Let's explore recovery together.
So first of all, man, thank you so much for coming. I know when we reached out, you're like, "Oh, brother, I'm in Hawaii." We're like, "Great, can we come to you? Can we can we come to Hawaii to do this?" But you're back, man. Thank you so much. So if you just kind of give a little background of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Alika. I'm originally from the Big Island of Hawaii. I've been living here in California for about 9 years. October of 2016, I
Okay.
got here, and I got sober out here in 2017.
So
Um,
did you come out just strictly to get sober?
I did not.
Okay. Well,
my
let's
plan
unpack that.
my plan was never to get sober, really. You know what I mean? Because I've tried on my own, and it was like, even just the thought of trying to stop would just run me over like a Mack truck, like
Okay.
it was a landslide victory. So I just gave in and said, either I'm gonna die from it or I'm gonna die with it. Like, that's it. I just accepted it already.
And you
You
were
know.
okay at that level of just saying this is the way it
Yeah,
is.
I was about 26 when I just decided, okay, that's it. I'll just die from it or with it, because it was just too much of a battle, and
Mm,
I thought I could do it on my own, like everybody else does.
yeah.
And then I found out, just like everybody else, that I can't. I couldn't do it all by myself.
So then what
So
brought you to California then?
okay, so why I came here was to see my mom. So my mom, she had a kidney transplant. So UCSF hospital in San Francisco, they called her. We were living on Oahu at the time, and I literally just got done, doing 2 lines of cocaine, and my phone rings, and it's my mom. So I go, "Hey, mom," and she's crying on the phone, and
Mm,
I was down in Waikiki. I was in Alamo on a parking lot, and she's crying. She got the kidney, so I needed to go to their house, pick up her and my dad, and take them to the airport because they gotta leave like now.
yeah.
The kidney is ready for her. And then so I was up for days, and then I came to California after that, and that time was a big blur because just things that was happening in my personal life, and addiction, it's a progressive illness, and
Mm,
I just got worse. My mental health was deteriorating. Relationships was non-existent. I couldn't make new friends. I couldn't hang on to a woman to save my life. Any of those things, at all. And my finances, I had none. Really,
mhm.
they come in and go right out. And uh, so my mom, she got the call. I came up to California, and I was like, man, I don't ever want to go back to Hawaii. Like, everybody's trying to get into Hawaii. I was trying to get out of Hawaii,
Mm,
and it was only because of all the people I hurt. That's all I could see. All the drug dealers I owe money to still. The women I used, and all these things. I'm like, I
yeah.
don't ever want to go back there. And so my sister, she allowed me to stay with her. I'm the youngest one. My brother's the oldest, my sister, and then me, and they both have been living in California at this time for like 25 plus years already. So they weren't in Hawaii to see me go through all my trips and all these things. They would come back for, like a Christmas or a holiday or something like
Hmm.
that, but they weren't there. So they never got to really see all that stuff, going on with me. And so my sister, graciously allowed me to stay with her, and it didn't take long. It took about 4 months for me to really show up, and my sister got to really meet the real me.
So did
You know,
she know that you were struggling when you went to
uh,
move in with her?
no,
Or... Okay.
nobody knew. Nobody knew. So everybody in my family, they knew I drank alcoholically, but nobody knew I was doing drugs.
Okay.
So naturally, believe it or not, I'm introverted naturally, and so at a young age, like how I got into the drug and alcohol, like the addiction, really. Because I remember somebody asked me, it was in a meeting. I was in Hawaii. It was um, a Zoom meeting, back when that COVID was going on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was a lot of Zoom meetings. So this guy asked me, "Hey, so," he said, "Bro, so why did you start, drinking and using in the first place? And I gave him the classic big book answer,
Yeah.
because I like the effect produced,
Yeah.
but he said, bro, that's not what I asked you though. So like I started thinking about that and really pondering it and prayed on it, because I didn't know. I was sober for like 2 years already, and I actually didn't know actually why, because
And
that's
that
what
was
I
the
thought.
first time that someone presented to you in a way that really kind of went inward to think.
Yeah, that was the first time. Like I never, because I was experiencing freedom,
Mm.
and weights was coming off. So I was like, okay, this stuff is working, even though I don't know the root cause yet of why I started. But that 2 years later, that question was asked to me. So I kind of went on a little journey, with God, the Holy Spirit revealing some things to me about me.
Mm.
And so, because I grew up introverted, my mind told me at a very young age that because I'm not like the rest of my family, something's wrong with me. And I come from a gigantic family. So, on my dad's side of the family, I have over 2,000 family members.
Wow.
All of them, Mark, I'm not kidding, all of them extroverts, all of them, except me and my older cousin Kiai were the only two introverts in the entire family tree. So because my mind told me that at a young age, something's wrong with me, that was probably the first time I felt genuine fear, like really, like fear, fear, fear. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be different. That means I'm gonna be over here. If I'm over here, I'm not gonna have friends. If I don't have friends, they're gonna talk about me, and I'll never meet somebody, I'll never get married, never have kids, never leave a legacy. All these things, and so there was so much fear. So what I chose to do was look at all the men in my culture that I respected.
Mm.
I looked up to my cousins, some of the uncles, their friends, and things of that sort, and I just did what they did. And they all surfed, they all fought, they all hooked up all the chicks, then they all drank and they all did drugs.
Mm.
So what that's what led me down the wrong road in the first place. It wasn't because I liked the effect produced, because I didn't know what it was like to be drunk before I drank, and I didn't know what it was like to be high before I did drugs. So initially, what started me down that path was an identity issue. So because I didn't know who I was at the time, I depended on the world to tell me who I was, and so I just was a big time faller, and that led me down that path. And I started drinking when I was 13, doing drugs when I was 15, and by the time I was 19, it ceased to be a luxury; it became a necessity. Like I had to have it already. It
Well,
just
in that first part that you explained, did that actually help you become more of that extrovert like your family and be more accepted and you weren't different?
only when I was drunk or
Well,
drinking.
no, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
like to a certain extent with
Hmm.
some of them, because uh, in the state of Hawaii, drinking alcohol is like drinking water. Honestly,
Hmm.
it's part of the culture. It's normalized and it's legal, but it's the worst one of them all, and I've seen it destroy more families, more people, and but that was normal already. By the time I was 20, around there, like it was normal to stay up for days drinking and using in the same house. Like everybody does this, or you guys don't do this on the weekends, and things like that. It was normal to me already, at that point, and I just progressed over time.
Okay. So it sounds like you moved in with your sister, and then were you sober at that time or you weren't sober yet?
No, I wasn't sober yet, so like the way we were raised, it was like me, my brother, and my sister. Like we don't argue, we don't fight, we don't even disagree. Honestly, we never have, and it was because of how we were raised. We never made each other mad. We never made each other cry or nothing like that. We never fought or nothing like that. Not even verbally fight. And when I came up here, I was a habitual liar. Like I would lie about what I ate for breakfast today. Like it's a habit already, like whatever. And so, I never realized how much you can really hurt somebody when you lie to them.
Mm.
Because I was always the one, I would lie, destroy your life, but I'm gone. I'm not gonna stick around to watch you deteriorate. I'm not
The
gonna do that.
grenade approach.
Yeah, exactly. Pull the pin through it, and I'm
Yeah,
gone.
and then gone.
And so, but not this time. I was there to. That was the only time in my entire life I ever made my sister cry. Like not even when we were kids,
Mm.
and how kids play and stuff and tease whatever. Not even then. And that actually got my attention a little bit. It wasn't so much to where, okay, let me stop doing what I'm doing. Not at all. But it did. That was the only thing I was like, oh my gosh, like this never happened before. Like so I didn't want to feel that feeling. Oh, I let my sister down. Oh, I lied to her. Oh, I cried. Oh, I know what to fix that. You know, hotel room right next door to where she lives. Um, and then cause like everybody in my family knew I drank alcohol. They didn't know I was doing drugs, like I was saying earlier, because cocaine was my main drug of choice. And you do too much cocaine, you're not talking anyway. You cannot talk. And so it wasn't out of the ordinary for me to be quiet. So that's why my family, my immediate family especially, they never really suspected anything, because that's me. I'm quiet anyway, but when I was drinking, I was loud. I was just like everybody else, and for somebody who was introverted, like, alcohol is, oh, this is it. I found it. This is it here, you know but it was it helped until it didn't, basically, and then I found out, it turned around and just stabbed me in the back, basically.
So what changed from what you said, the acceptance of just saying, look, this is either going to kill me or I'm going to die with it, to I'm actually living with my sister, I'm hurting her, we never fight, I want a different life, I want to change.
Yeah. So I was supposed to be home. So I got another job, a new job, because I couldn't hang on to the same job, So this is up in Rancho Cucamonga, where where she was living at the time. And I got a job, and I'm not kidding. The first day of work, I call out sick, gave him one crazy. I think I told him, oh, something happened with my son back in Hawaii. I'm on my way to the airport right now. I was on my way to Victorville to buy dope, actually, And so, with my sister, she, she never suspected anything, but I was supposed to have been home at 8 p.m. from work. I got home at 2 a.m. because that year there was a very bad storm. It was November, December-ish, of 2016, and the 15 freeway like broke. So
That.
there was like miles and miles and miles long. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm all high, and I'm tweaking out by myself and wondering, oh no, what. And I sold my cell phone to buy my last 8 ball. So she couldn't call me. She's trying to call me, get home at 2 a.m., just lie on top of lie on top of lie on top of lie. And it was, days later, the truth came out, to where that hotel room I checked into, my sister knocking on it, a couple of days later, I'm in there. And I look out, oh, it's my sister and my brother. And I was like, oh man. So I didn't know this at the time, but they had all my stuff packed up in the car, and my brother was gonna buy me a ticket to go back home. And this is where I was at mentally. I would have rather been homeless living in California than go back to beautiful Hawaii with a roof over my head, food in my stomach. I was like, no, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. And then so, my secret that I kept from my immediate family about the drug use, it finally came out.
So that was the day that you finally said, here's what's been going on.
Yep, that was the day. That was the day. That was the day my entire life started to change. From that moment where I finally got honest, I was 33 when it happened. And and I'm crying my eyes out, like it's like on a water hose, and my brother is crying, and my sister just pissed off at me. She's not crying. She's like, because I hurt her so bad, and then but then we all, kiss and make up kind of thing. And okay, what do we do now? How can we help? Because my secret, like in my mind, my mind told me, look, bro, do not tell anybody about this. You cannot, and it gave me all these reasons why. And from when I was like a teenager, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to say nothing. And it's like, I always give this example of when you walk into a dark room and you notice, like when you turn on the light in a dark room, you ever notice how the darkness never fights with the light to stay dark? Like, boom, it's instantly, it was gone. When the truth came out of my mouth, that's exactly how it felt. And it was so freeing. And everything my mind told me that was going to happen, none of it happened. Like, my family got closer to me. They cared about me. They loved me. They didn't disown me. That's what I thought.
Well, we see this so often, that the mind will continually lie, worst case scenario, and then distort the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And then it leverages the guilt, the shame, the blame that keeps the person in the darkness lying. And I love the way that you just shared that analogy of, I've been lying this entire time, and the one time I get completely honest, speak truth, my life completely pivoted and went into a different direction. So what happened from there? Your sister's really underneath the anger is the hurt.
Yes.
So your sister's hurting, your brother's crying, you're crying. what happened after that led down the path?
So what happened is, we got they locked arms with me. Really, they supported me. My
Mm,
sister got over it pretty quick. Honestly, it wasn't she wasn't mad for days or anything like that. And I again I credit my mom for that because, excuse me, how she raised us.
mm.
And so um, my brother helped me apply and get medical insurance so I could go to treatment. So I was in the Inland Empire calling all these places. Oh man, we don't got a bed. Call tomorrow. Call tomorrow. Call tomorrow. After like a week or so of call tomorrows, I'm like, I better figure something else out because
Yeah.
it's not gonna be long. Like the longest I have been sober because I chose to prior
Mm.
to getting sober this time was maybe 4 days,
Okay.
5 days. That was it. And it's been a week, so that time that was the longest. So I'm
So
like,
that part in the brain's already kind of
yes,
like, yeah.
yes. And I was so afraid to be alone because my sister had to go to work and I was by myself, and I was so afraid to be alone at that time. And so, what I decided to do, I was like, oh wait, I remember people get sober in like these programs. I don't know what they are. Let me try and search one. So I searched one and I found a meeting. It was at the Valley Alano Club in Rancho Cucamonga at noon, and I got dropped off at my first meeting. And I remember I identified as a newcomer.
So you're a week sober,
Mhm.
introvert, dropped off at a meeting.
Yeah,
What happened?
yeah. So like people who know me, they like really know me. They know that about me. Like it's like pulling teeth for me to walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, my name is Alika. What's your name?" Like, oh, no, I want to do that. It's like if you don't talk to me, I'm not going to talk to you, kind of thing. So it was the pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of me to change. And so I chose, the pain of change over the pain of staying the same.
Mm.
So I was willing. The willingness helped me. The pain helped me to be willing. So I got dropped off. I was nervous. I didn't know what was going on. And so I'm in the meeting. There's a bunch of old people there. Um, and I'm like, I sat there and I just listened. Identified as a newcomer. Yep, that's me. And then I heard this lady say, if you want what we have, do what we do.
Mm.
And for the first time in my entire life, I start listening with my ears and not with my mouth. I was so good at listening with my mouth. And then they started talking about sponsors. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And as I listened with my ears, I started to see, oh, this is somebody that's going to help me. I'm like, yeah, I need that. I need this. I need this. And then after the meeting was over, this big dude, he like beelines it right toward me. I could see him in the corner of my eye. He was sitting in the corner of the room, and he was super happy, and he shook my hand and he introduced himself. He said, hey, my name is Clint. He gave me his phone number and he said, here, call this guy. And then that guy became my sponsor 4 days later, and he's still my sponsor. And I still check in with him and I still talk with him. I
I
still
love
meet
that.
up with him, all these years later, because in that meeting, that's what they said. So I said, okay, let me do that. But however, I actually never asked him to sponsor me. I was about to, and then he asked me if, hey, do you want me to sponsor you? I said, oh yeah. He just took the pressure off of me, honestly,
Mm.
you know. And I started, going through the process of working my steps, and I am a 12 stepper. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And I believe God sent me to the 12-step program to receive my healing.
Mm.
I've been in church since I was 15. Not saying God never lost his power or something like that, but it's just that's the way he chose for me to go do it because he knew how I would respond to it. Because the
Mm-hmm.
Bible, there's principles are in there, but there's no clear cut direction on how to get sober. In the 12-step program there is though, and I knew if I can follow directions, then I can what they got, I can get too. I just got to do what they did, and so um, uh, when I remember the very, very first time I met with my sponsor at his kitchen table, who I probably gonna cry. um, poof. So he started just sharing some of his experiences he had with me,
Mm-hmm.
and prior to him opening up to me, like again, the enemy, I was being deceived. My mind was telling me, all these things, man. You're the worst person in the world. Nobody did drugs like you. Nobody hurt people like you. Nobody took advantage of people like you. Nobody, used women like you and all. And so I was convinced, like, I'm the worst person in the world. And then I started listening to this man. And he started sharing his experiences, and I started thinking, like in my head, I started thinking, I was like, me too, me too. I felt like that too. I did that too. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone anymore. I was like, man, I found somebody else that understands me.
Mhm.
I'm not the only one. Then I started going to meetings, and I'm like, I'm definitely not the only one. There's people in this meeting more jacked up than me. I didn't think that was possible, and it was so freeing. And recently I was
This
talking with my
episode is
sponsor.
brought to you by Pacific Shores. We have been an industry leader for over 25 years in the mental health and addiction space. We have helped thousands and thousands of individuals and families reclaim their lives. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please reach out so we can do this together. Our number is 949 749
Recently,
7317.
I was talking with my sponsor, and he was remodeling his kitchen, and I said, "Hey, what are you gonna do with that table, your kitchen?" Because my life changed at his kitchen table. I say, if you're not gonna, don't give it away, don't throw it away. I'll keep it. I will keep that forever. Because literally, my life literally changed right at that table. You know, the reason why I can serve other people today was because I sat at that table. The reason why I'm the father I am, the husband I am, because I sat at that table. And I met with my sponsor every Thursday, and I never, ever, ever missed a meet because I want to go to sleep, or I'm tired, and and I work my get well job. I was at Chevron, and the first meeting I went to at the Valley Alano Club, the lady that worked there, she's like, "Hey, my friend manages the sober living." So it was in Fontana. The sober living was in Fontana. I stayed in sober living for 1 year, and I worked at Chevron for my first year. All I did for the first 2.5, 3 years was I went to meetings. If I wasn't with my sponsor, I was with my brothers and sisters in the program. If I wasn't with them, I was at work. If I wasn't there, I was sleeping. That is all. My whole entire mind shifted. Like in the big book, Dr. Silkworth says, until this person, the alcoholic, until this person can experience an entire psychic change, there's very little hope of their recovery. So I made sure when I'm laying this foundation that I'm going to build my life on, this thing is solid. I was willing to put in the work and not fart around and no, like no, I was because I was so ready to change my life. I just need to point me in the direction. What do I need to do? I'm willing now. I'm willing. My secret is in the open. I didn't die. Everybody still loves me. So what do I do next? What do I do next? I was ready. I just point me in the direction. Boom, I'm gone. Because I knew I only needed to do it once. The foundation, you don't pour foundation 2 times. It's a one time. Make sure everything is solid. I wanted to make sure before I walked on it, the concrete was dry. So I never went to Hawaii. I never did anything outside of recovery for the first 2.5 to 3 years, right around there.
That's such a wonderful analogy of pouring the foundation because you see a lot of people continually struggle. They using this analogy, they don't put the rebar, they don't dig the ditches, they just spray the concrete and want to build as high as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
And on a shaky foundation with no reinforcement, they build a little bit and it gives you this false sense of security until it falls over. So you understood that and you gave yourself permission to go all in to dig those trenches, to do that work. So everything you've shared so far has been absolutely fantastic of the moment, the one time you said, I'm going to speak truth, the light went on and it opened up to getting a seat at the table. And thank you for sharing that experience like that. I could feel that when you were sharing that, just the beauty of being at the table, the mind chatter telling us all the lies,
Yeah.
the secrets, the BS, all this stuff. And as you sat there with someone that actually saw you, sees you, understands you, actually feels you, for the first time in your life, you say, me too. And then that led you to, I call it submission, surrender, whatever you want to call it, but surrendering to a proven process.
Yes.
Trusting with faith of going, I don't even have the foundation built yet, but there's something inside of me that says this is the process to go all in on, and you did it. How were you able to surrender to continue doing that? Because I'm sure you see it too. We see it all the time. Person starts working the steps or goes to a program or gets a get well job, and then right away there's this false sense of security of like, oh, I got this. I can go right back. I'm gonna start dating again. I'm gonna start doing this as a
Yes. Yeah, I see it all. I still see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to dive into the actual work you did because that's most people think the work means doing hard labor as opposed to What I love doing is finding out what kind of work can I do that I actually love and enjoy and isn't work to me.
Hmm.
And when you start doing this as a lifestyle, it's kind of like, this is so cool. And we talked about before the cameras were rolling about really self care and how high burnout is. But when you are taking care of yourself, continual foundational work, which I'm assuming you're the same as me, I still do foundational work every single day. I did it this morning.
Hmm.
Continue just making sure that foundation continues to stay firmed up. If there's, come over here, it's kind of chipped away a little bit here. Let me go ahead and do a little bit of patchwork here and just continually doing that. That allows us to do the calling and what we love. So you go for sounded like 2 years. You're all in, you're doing this. So, what pivoted from making sure that your foundation was strong to now teaching other people how to build their foundation?
Yeah, so I've never asked somebody to do something that I haven't done or continue to do.
Mm,
So, like sponsees or people, I facilitated groups in treatment for years, too, as well. And so I've had a lot of friends. I spoke at a lot of different places and things of that sort. So I never wanted to be a hypocrite again.
mm,
So I started putting my money where my mouth is. I started practicing what I preach. And so like today, I live a life worthy of the calling that I have received. So when I speak, I'm not disqualified. So um, from February 17, 2017 to the day the pandemic happened, I went to a meeting every day, every day, every day. Even though like that job at Chevron, my get well job, when I went to apply, they were like had these tents set up in a Chevron. I had to go put gas. And so I said, hey, hi, what's going on? Da, da, da. Oh, job fair. Okay. Oh yeah, let me, I need a job. Um, and I let them know before they hired me, look, I'm in recovery. I have meetings I go to, and they're all in the afternoon and in the evening. So I cannot work. Is that going to be a problem? They said, nope. I said, okay. Because if they said yes, I would have found another job.
mm.
I would have found something that would accommodate my schedule. And they're very accommodating. And so what I did was um one I went to one Saturdays I went to a book study. Oh no, Tuesday and Saturday I went to a book study. And the others I did one on Wednesday, one speaker meeting, and the rest was participation. I did it um in Fontana, Upland, Rancho, um, Pomona, and Riverside. And I went 7 days a week. I never missed meetings.
Mm.
I never missed a meet with my sponsor because the thing is, Thursdays was my day he gave me, and he was retired already at this time, and I knew, my good, if I cancel on him because I work, and I'm tired. I work the 5:30 to 1:30 shift,
Mhm.
and I'm exhausted. Sometimes, but when Thursday comes around, I'm like, I want to go take a nap before we meet or
Mhm.
something, but I couldn't. So on Thursday was my longest day of the week, and it was later in the week too. And keep in mind, at this point, I'm not going to the gym. I'm like still newly sober and everything. I'm like, let me just keep the drugs and alcohol out of me, and before I pick up weights or something else. You're asking too much of me.
Well, so real quick, how were you able to? Because the mind is a powerful weapon, and the excuses, the rationalization, all this stuff comes in. How were you able to overcome that to keep that commitment for those Thursdays, knowing this is my time to heal?
Oh, because for me, like I committed to it from the beginning, but also as time went on, like for that first time I met with him, and this guy understands me.
Mm.
From that moment forward, I felt different. I felt freedom. And I kept feeling it every week I met with him. So I'm like, I do not want to, because if I cancel, I'll have to wait Thursday again. It's not like, oh, we can meet tomorrow then, because he has sponsees every day of the week. And he has he has his own life.
Yeah.
I understand being of service, but I made a commitment to him and it was Thursday. So I didn't want to miss out on more. All my meat and potatoes, it came sitting directly across from him.
And
You
I
know.
love that you say you found freedom in
Mhm.
that meeting and in the truth. Because so many times the lie is if I speak truth, there's no freedom, everything is over.
Yeah.
And you were able to go past that initial lie for that. So you did that for several years, and now you're actually helping other people. The thing that you shared also that stuck out to me was you say, I won't ever ask someone to do something that I haven't already done.
Mhm.
A lot of the times, especially as a person gets more time and is helping more people, there's this crazy little thing called imposter syndrome that starts
Yeah.
sneaking in. Have you ever experienced that?
Um, yes, yeah, like, kind of going back to like the hypocritical,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yes, like not full on, But I mean, the temptation was there for sure, but what is more important to me is integrity, much
Mm,
more important. Like I couldn't do no, I had integrity. What is that? In my addiction, I was the furthest thing away. Like because of my lying tongue and how good I could charm like men and women, you know, and get through the door like that. My lying tongue got me through pretty much every door I ever wanted to go
hmm.
into, different women and all this stuff. But what I found out, it could never keep me inside the door. My integrity, it keeps me inside the door, today. And so that was more important to me than going back to reverting to old behaviors,
Yeah.
basically. Because I had such a strong support group around me. The men around me, my friends I made, and we all went into the program and got sober like a few months apart from each other. So it was so exciting. We seen each other every day. We talk all the time. There's other people coming in, and everything, and we're just talking about, oh, what step you're on, what you're learning, all these things. It's so cool to hear it from somebody else's perspective, the same step you're on, and all these things. And
Hmm.
we didn't we hold each other accountable. We didn't pull no, like they didn't play around up there, in the IE, So I'm truly grateful. God handpicked all those people that He put in my life too, because there are times where, hey, look, we're gonna go to so and so's house for the Super Bowl, and or we're gonna go here to hang out, whatever. In my mind, I'm thinking, let me see if these people actually practice what they preach.
Mm.
They've been sober 28 years. Let me see how they operate, though. And sure enough, their words and their actions, it was the same. It matched up. So even more so, and it encouraged me even more to, if you say something, you're gonna do something, you do it.
Mm.
Like because for 31 years or 33 years of my life, I was the total opposite. I said this, but I did that. So it was so important to me, and not for anybody, just for me. It was
Hmm.
important to me that if I say I'm gonna go left, I'm going left. That's it. And then okay, I'm gonna go right, I'll go right. It's just having integrity is so important to me, and it's an important quality in like somebody else. If I'm gonna be friends with them or something along those lines, I'm gonna invest time in them or be around them. Because I hang out with newcomers and stuff all the time, but I do not like hang out with them like all day and things like that. I'll go and serve and encourage and hey, how's it going? Da, da, da. But I'm not necessarily pouring everything out into them. You know, I got my core group of people that will hold me accountable for my actions. Even my thoughts based off what comes out of my mouth. Whoa, what was that? What'd you say?
Mm.
They catch it and then they call me on it. And that is accountability has played a humongous role in the reason why I have the life I have today.
So you hit on some wonderful themes of integrity,
Hmm.
of environment, your
Yeah.
community, and then accountability. That's huge. Those are three things that really make or break the experience for an individual. So what is life like now for you?
Oh my gosh, life is it's truly amazing. I mean, I'm living a life beyond my imagination, my wildest dreams, and it's just it's just the tip of the iceberg too. And that's the amazing part. In the book of Galatians it says, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest if you do not give up." Now, it doesn't
Mm.
specify what kind of reward you're going to get, whether it's financial or your marriage is going to get better or your health to get or whatever. But I literally have experienced in every era. I've experienced increase. My mental health, my marriage for sure, my finances, being a father, all those things, my business, my nonprofit. So I started on August 19th of 2020. I had an idea, and I believe it was a God idea. Because it's going to go on to that idea I had on August 19th of 2020. It'll go on to touch lives and restore families long after I leave this earth,
Mm.
So that's why I say it's a God idea. So it was during the pandemic. I was thinking, man, I was so on fire for recovery at that time and everything. I still am, but like it was new. It was this new fire I had, and I was like, man, what about people that's like locked in their homes right now? Like, who's gonna help them? What about them? Because they don't got the same resources I had when I got sober, because everything was shut down. And I'm thinking, man. So I just started like a new page on social media. It was on Instagram. I started it at first, and I started thinking of a name, and actually, it was the very first name that popped in my head. It was Pro Recovery Power, and I stuck with it because I'm much more pro recovery and I'm less anti-addiction,
Mm.
because being anti-addiction is problem focused. I'm much more solution oriented, and then there's a lot of power in that. So pro recovery power. I was like, okay, I like that, and then it stuck, and then you know, I love my wife, man. Is she's the she's described as God as my helpmate, and she sure does, and she's the backbone to our family. And a lot of people they tell me, man, that was such a great idea. You create this nonprofit. I always make sure that they know it actually wasn't my idea.
Mm.
It was my wife's idea. She said, babe, why don't you just start a nonprofit? I was like, oh, that's right. And there was a missing piece. I was like, okay, boom. And we started you know, we started up, we didn't know what we were doing, and we had to, like, I had to ask a lot of people and do research and do all these things. And I'm still learning more and more and more about it. But since we started it, I mean, we've been able to reach, thousands and thousands of people, help a lot of people, from Hawaii, help them get sober. Because back in 2020, I had this passion, I have this intense, passion, this high fervor for helping somebody that's like me, that I was once like. And my brother Marco, which me and him, we work side by side together. He is the owner and the founder of Journey to Solutions. I'm the vice president of Journey to Solutions, and together, we, with Pro Recovery Power, we built a bridge from Hawaii
Mm.
to California to help everybody, because Hawaii, they don't got the same resources at all. Like, people would call me, like family, of loved ones, and saying that, man, my son's smoking crack with his case manager, and things like that. Like, some people tell me I gotta wait, 2 weeks for a bed, or 2 months. I'm sorry, 2 months for a bed. I'm like, what? Like, all kinds of things. And so, I mean, that's a huge impact we're making in the lives of those people, because for about 7 years or 6 years, I helped people, anything, whether it was counseling, they needed some therapy, they needed treatment. I would, whatever it is. And then when I met Marco, years ago, we started working together. I found out what he did, and he knew what I did, and everything. And we would just combine forces to really maximize our efforts to better serve our communities. And I mean, my goodness, lives have been changing. It's just like, it's one huge impact we're making, like, in the state of Hawaii. That's where I'm from. That's my people out there, and they're struggling, but now we got that bridge built. And so it's amazing. Like, when my life changed, it is a totally different experience when I get to see somebody when they first get here, and watch their life change in
Mhm.
front of my eyes. I mean, I've helped people come up here, come through treatment, SUD, mental health. They're up here for 6, 7 months, and like, when we were kids, we used to smoke crack together. We used to do cocaine together. We drink together. We do all these crazy things together. Drop acid, and to see them, their life, how they transition, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things is seeing the version of them that they were, I would say, meant to be. And as they start seeing what is on the other side of the truth, it's just so beautiful. So, what is something that if you could go back to that moment when you were at your darkest before you hit the light of truth, what would you go back and tell yourself? What was it that you were needing to hear?
To be honest, back then, no matter what I said to myself, I don't listen. So it didn't really necessarily matter what I said to myself. Um, but I mean, if I went back in time and had to tell myself something, honestly, I would have told myself to get closer to God and stay there. That's what I told myself. Whether I listened or not, I probably wouldn't have listened anyway, because there were so much people telling me that already at that time.
Yeah.
But I knew, like, today, now I know that's what I really needed to hear. And, like, I remember I used to get irritated. It came to a point where I would get so irritated when people would tell me, they tell me, brother, don't worry, God got a plan for you. God got a
Yeah.
plan for you. Don't forget Jeremiah 29:11. I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, inside, I'm thinking, yeah, whatever, whatever. Because, I had a victim mentality. So, like, I'll tell God, yeah, God, like, all these people talking about this and that, and your word says you got a plan for me, but good plan, give me hope in the future. Like, oh, come check out, come down there and see how I'm living. like, oh, great plan, bro. You know what I mean? Like, but it never ever occurred to me in my addiction that everything that was happening to me, it was because of me. It wasn't because of God. But when you're a victim, you think that way. It is never your. It's always something, And then, but you never get whenever it's somebody else's fault, you never get the power to change anything. You will remain the same forever if nothing is ever your fault.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming down and being a guest and just sharing your experience and knowledge, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.